survival programs designed to address urgent social needs such as free breakfast for children in school, free community health clinics, and liberation schools focused on education and empowerment. In addition to that, the organization published newspapers to promote political awareness. The party also advocated for equitable access to housing and employment opportunities. The Panthers understood that you can't talk freedom without talking money. The Black Panther Party organized economic access as an essential, recognized economical access as an essential source of empowerment and stability within the community. The Panthers challenged structural systems that restricted Black economic mobility and systems that often treated poverty as a crime rather than a social issue. Our district continues the legacy by actively addressing long-term economic barriers by equipping students with financial literacy skills, expanding awareness of college pathways, and strengthening career exploration programs. David Douglas School District helps not only Black families, but all families build stable and substantial futures. Furthermore, we also work to reduce the disproportionate discipline of students affected by poverty. Rather than relying solely on punitive measures, our school prioritizes restorative practices, student support systems, and behavioral interventions that recognize the bordering challenges students may face. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see there's more slides for us to.
I think the other slides that were involved were also activities.
Okay.
That included for students in different classrooms and community members to have access.
Oh.
So some of the activities were just to engage the conversation and to continue on looking into the relationship between the Black Panthers and the work that we do here at DHS.
That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Do we have Ron Russell here? Still waiting? Okay. Well, we can move on to the proclamation and then circle back. Right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Or you could jump to consent if you want.
Okay. Yeah, that's a better idea.
Superintendent's report.
Okay.
However you want to do it.
That's a better idea. Yeah, okay. So instead of, we'll wait to do the Black History Month proclamation and recognition of Lunar New Year until we've heard all presentations. So if we can jump ahead to the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Was there any discussion for any of the items on the consent agenda?
Did anyone at the district have opinions on the easement for PGE? Like it's a good thing or no big deal, normal business?
Pat, if you want.
No concerns or no issues. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. If that's all, let's take the vote, starting with Director Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Epstein, aye.
Gamur Georgeson, aye.
Jordan, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Franklin, aye. Okay, so the strategic plan. ID's not here. Okay. Oh.
We're just rearranging the agenda because we'd really like all the presenters to be in the room when the proclamation's read. So don't mind us for a couple seconds here.
Sorry. Pat, if that's all right with you, can we jump to the analysis of new pension bond?
Sure. You're that excited about pension bond?
We are.
Okay. Let's see here. So we were notified that the OASBO, which is the Association of School Business Managers, is looking at coordinating folks to see how many districts would be interested to go out for another pension bond. Part of the process of going out for the bond is to do an analysis. Because of market uncertainties and the current status of our leadership at the federal level, market concerns are pretty forefront in their minds. So what they recommended, what the bond broker, who Piper Sandler, recommended is that they would do an analysis for 18 to 24 months. And so that does come with a cost. It's usually $35,000 to $50,000. That cost would be split among the participating districts. And that's just to go out and see, how much would it be, what could you get, and determine whether you really wanted to go forward with it. So they do have the survey out now. We plan on responding yes or maybe. I haven't quite looked at the survey, depending on whether they have that option. Interested in doing that again. And of course, I say that with that caveat. So a few months ago, I brought the site account to you to kind of show you that we were expecting that to expire sooner than later. The goal of the pension bond, of course, is that you go out, you sell the bonds, and then over the life of the bond, you draw that down to draw down your pension rate, right? But we, for lack of a better word, our district just was not on the greatest side of that. We seem to be the poster child for everything that could have gone wrong. From losing a large portion of the principal of that sale due to stock market declines in 2008. Part of that drawdown also is how fast does your payroll grow? And so when they calculate that drawdown, part of that is how fast is that payroll growing so that they can take that and draw down that rate. So we added a lot of employees back in 2012-13 with MECP. We've had some large payroll growth. So of course that has pushed that expiration of that side account a little farther along than we anticipated. For those of you who are new, every year we get an analysis from Milliman on our side account and the rates. And so that usually is an advisory rate in the odd year, and it's an actual rate in the even year. The advisory rate comes out in December, and you had that in your packet. And so you'll notice in there when they're looking at the rates for next year, or for the next biennium, that there was no side account rate credit. They do not add that for the last 2 years, and because they are concerned about that early expiration. So I just wanted to bring the option for the new pension bond to your attention. I did want to remind you of what has happened with our bond. We do anticipate it actually expiring somewhere between October and February in next year. That's a lot earlier than I had thought and brought to you. And the reason for that is I went to a conference, Ken went to a conference in January. Piper Sandler was there, and they met with many, many districts. I believe Gladstone is going through it now, where theirs has actually expired. What happens when that occurs during the biennium, and that's something that really wasn't clear to everybody, because they say, oh, this is your biennial rate, so you're thinking it's for the biennium, is that if you run out of your side account, the very first day of the month that runs out, you go to the base rate, which is obviously larger than what we normally would pay. So like we're paying 25.29% for our Tier 1, Tier 2 retirees, or retirement, and it will go to 28.02. So that's 3 percentage points almost.
Can you explain that part? Because I read that earlier and I wasn't clear why, if you're under the risk of a bond bet, you would pay less towards pension than otherwise.
So when
that's
you-
how I read it.
Yeah, so when you have money in your side account, it's buying down that rate. So basically, it's amortizing every month, kind of like, your home loan, and you're paying your home loan, and part of that goes to interest, and part of that brings down your principal payment, or your principal on your house. So that's in essence what's happening is once this gets to a certain point, and so you'll see here in 2024, that's the number that Milliman gave us. They're always a year in arrears. So I actually have an appointment with PERS to see if they will tell me that magic number that I estimated, which I hope is way too high, for 2025. That's a December number, 4.8 million for 838,871. That is not going to cover the last 3 years of the bond. So what we'll be paying is we'll be paying the bond payment, and we'll be paying a higher PERS rate. So we anticipated that happening in 2027, 28. And we anticipated it happening early in there. It's actually going to happen probably next year sometime, in my estimation, between October and February.
So essentially, we made a bad bet, lost money, and we're still paying for that.
Yes.
And we're going out to possibly ask someone to research if we should make a new bet.
So that's
what
the
it is.
caution that I'm going to give you. I will tell you that Carol Samuels, who's with Piper Sandler, is not betting at this time, and his advice is to be cautious. And she knows, she's the one that worked with us on the bonds. Many school districts, if you look at all the school districts that participated in PERS bonds from 2001, 2007 is the poster child of what goes wrong. Almost everybody else did really well. Our neighbors to the west did extremely well, to the point where they had 0 PERS.
Yeah, and we definitely want to answer questions. I mean, how it's put on the agenda is discussion. We want you aware, and Stephanie, I don't want to read into what you said, but I want to answer a little bit in case I am. We are not committed to this at all. In fact, I think if you had asked Pat and I for recommendation, it's bond decision, we'd say no. But we are saying, hey, in the survey, we're going to say, sure, include us, and then we're going to see how much it is. And just so you know, when I did the ask, it really depends how many districts are like, we're interested, 35 to 50,000 at that same, it was a meeting in Salem, $1,000, right? So there's a big difference, $1,000, right? So there's a big difference there. And if it was, 35 to 50, before we ever did it, we'd talk more with the board and give you a recommendation. If we're down around $1,000, we might stay in it and get more information. But that really depends on where we're at right now. And what I mean by that, exactly what Pat said, from Piper Sandler, the representative, basically in her presentation at that meeting was she doesn't recommend it. It's basically a type of gamble, right, is what it is. And right now, the interest rates, there's not enough gap, but it could change. It could change in the coming months. So how do we stay connected so we know, so we can bring you the most up-to-date information for a decision? But again, if the board right now is saying, we're not interested, then we will just say no thank you and go from there. But we wanted you to know that we thought we'd at least listen and learn and keep bringing that information to the board as we move forward, without investing money and without getting in too deep or making a commitment.
So are we hiring them essentially as our advisors for 18 to 24 months, or are they producing a one-time thing? Like, what is it that we get out of it? And I'm just thinking of $30,000 is IAs, right? $30,000 is real dollars out of the district. So what are we getting out of it that we couldn't get from a market analysis 2 years from now or a year and a half from now?
Yeah, that's all it is a market analysis and analysis of the system. If you're in it, what you get is the opportunity to move forward. If you say no, then you can't, right? But again, my recommendation, if it was $35,000, if it was that type of money, I would say it's just not worth it, just based on what we know today. If it's $500, I mean, it could be as cheap as, they literally said 500 to 1,000. So if it's down at that rate, it might be worth it for us to just be involved, just to know. But that is what it is. It's basically to say, okay, if you're buying in, we will do an analysis to kind of let you know where we're at and let you know our recommendation and when to go in.
Sorry, so I'm sorry. So they're doing the analysis, but if you don't participate, you're not allowed to get a side account later? That's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're locking
Well-
you in.
You're
Or
not
locking you
locking you in
out.
to
They're
do it, but
locking
it
you
will be
out.
locking you out if you're not interested in moving forward. And again, it's not us, it's all the districts in the state. Yeah.
Right. And so it doesn't totally lock you out, though. And it locks you out if they're going as a group. You could go and do this yourself. You're going to pay the full cost of the assessment. So that's a risk. And then you're going to have to decide at that time, are you moving forward or not? But the district would pay that brunt of the full cost. And so usually smaller districts, which we're a smaller district, try to buddy up with others, and then that makes a more lucrative sale and more buyers. So that's why we ended up where we were back in 2007. When you're a Portland Public, Salem, Kaiser, Beaverton, you have enough out there that you're large enough that you can do a large bond sale on your own, and this cost really is minimal for you.
So if we don't do this and the account depletes now earlier than we expected, how much more is that hitting our budget for going forward that we weren't expecting?
So to be clear, if we don't do, it doesn't impact it. Our account's going to deplete no matter what. This is in the future, right? So it doesn't change that. And the exact amount would be that percentage rate, but I don't know if we know a number of that. Do you know a number?
For the PERS,
Yeah, what does that 3% equal to in dollars that we have to subtract from the budget?
so that's kind of the magic number that we're trying to calculate right now. We're anticipating it could add up to $1 million. It really depends on where in that timeline.
So in my superintendent's report, we have a slide that, in fact, we could pull it up now, Sandy, if you want, just because of the question, and I can show a little bit. But we're estimating $1 million, but it really depends. Does it run out in October or March, right? How does it and when does it and what's that impact? So, okay, we'll wait. Never mind, Sandy. Thank you. Oh, there it is. So you can see, team, just real quick for our community, I was planning to do this in my superintendent's report. And what this is back in November, we've been publicly kind of communicating where we're at with budget, the deficit. Remember, we talked about revenues versus costs. And if your costs are higher than your revenues, you deficit spend. And you can see November, we projected about 14 million. At that time, we said, but we need to keep running payroll. We need to keep looking at the budget, seeing what we're spending, kind of keep going. So it did go down a little bit. Also, our beginning balance kind of ticked up. We got a little bit of okay, it's going up. We're tracking it. And then in February, you can see I'm bringing it to you this month to show we're back up to 14 million because, and that what that $14 million signifying is our PERS bond rate running out. And again, it might be less than that, it might be more than that, but right now we have to have some sort of number we budget around and against. So that's that number right now, again, for our community in my superintendent's report, we're kind of combining two things here. I wanted to make sure that, again, we're continuing to be transparent, that as we build a budget for next year, we are looking at a reduction budget. Right now, we will have to reduce 14 million to balance our budget, and by law, we have to submit a balanced budget. We can't have a difference. So we will be developing a budget reduction plan as we move forward. Again, it's out of order here. I was going to do that in the superintendent's report, but it is connected to this PERS bond.
I'd love to dig into this PERS bond, but let me know if now is not a great time to do that. I don't know.
That's up to the board chair. I mean,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be discussion. I don't know if we're overtime or undertime or how we're doing.
Or if there's a better venue for this, but I just have.
Because we'll have
A lot of
another
great
opportunity for me to come back. Like I can answer, this is just a survey at this time.
Yep.
If they say, hey, we have enough interest that folks want to go forward, I would need to come back anyhow. But I mean, if folks are like, absolutely not, this is a horrible idea. But a pension obligation bond is an arbitrage play. So you're really, you're really trying to have things that you pay less interest on that you invest and get more interest than what you're paying. That's the goal.
Yep, no, I get that. I think before I mean, I'm not wild about the pension bond idea. It just seems like a pretty big bet, and we lost that bet by 11 million bucks. And so I just wonder what the alternatives are. If you just do, is like, I try to think of it as, I know it's not quite like a home loan, but I try to think of it like you have a home loan and you have an escrow account to go with it that pays your insurance for you every month and your property tax. And as your property tax increases, you get a note from the servicer. It says, hey, your escrow is going up. You can front that now, or just pay a little bit more every month for the next 12 months. What do you choose? And I always choose pay a little bit more every month because there's no downside to it. So is there options in the budgeting to do stuff like what's the modern appropriate option instead of the PERS bond?
So there's some options if you're cash rich to go ahead and there was an employer's incentive fund a few years ago. One of the things that the board discussed is if we sold Deerdorf, putting that money away and putting it into a separate side account. It would need to go in a separate one, but it would basically do the same thing. The advantage to that is that's cash in your hand. It goes into the account. It gets drawn down. It grows interest at PERS. There's no bond. There's no bond payment. So that benefits you because you don't have that bond payment. You don't have to worry about paying the bondholder back. The issue is we're not cash rich. And so that would be another budget cut in essence, unless, maybe that would be something you'd want to do if we did sell Deerdorf.
But I guess, yeah, I'd love to learn more about like what the modern options are. Because I just feel like there's a world where you say, I know we're behind on our pension obligations, and you can play catch up instead of being obligated right now. And I don't know if that's something that is possible, but I feel like there's a world where that exists.
Not that I know of, but we can definitely research that. And Thomas, one thing, just at some point, I think we're getting back on schedule with the agenda, but one thing, as follow-up, a phone call to me, a meeting with Pat, we'd be happy to, just in our office, wherever you want to meet, we can kind of go into deeper. I think really the only options right now is you either have a side account you're drawing down to help. You have your own, I'll call it your own side account where you've invested it, where you draw and use. But again, that takes money up front to invest in, just like Pat. Or you pay the assessment, right? As you're paying your payroll, you have the assessment and you pay it. I think those are it, but we can explore a little more and dig a little more. But I'm pretty confident that's it. Yeah.
The Deerdorf would not sell for nearly what we put into the market last time. I mean, we're talking a tiny, so I don't even know what a dent that would make in the percentage.
Right. So that's the issue, is you really need a large amount of money in order to make that effective.
Can we be the ones that sell the bonds, and then we get the positive?
You have to go through the Securities and Exchange Commission.
I know. It's just frustrating because the people with all the money made the money, and of course the public education's left in a lurch at the end of the day, just because their bet went sour. But it's frustrating.
As in relation to the assessment, to do it or not, I think that I'd like to choose an amount that the board feels comfortable paying for. And so if enough other school districts come into it and it reduces the cost for it enough that we feel comfortable paying for it, I think it's a choice or an option. But if it's like a higher amount, I think we probably want to be fiscally as conservative as possible to be respectful to the budget right now. So I think it's, if a maybe is is an acceptable answer, that's what I would go for.
And the board can do that. We didn't place this as an action item of any course.
okay.
We just wanted to communicate with you that we're planning to be involved in the survey. That's all.
Okay.
Just the survey. So then they come back to us to say, hey, because of your involvement, this is what it would look like to you. And then if we think, we'll let you know if it's, I kind of feel like I have a feeling at a certain level. Either way, we're going to bring it back and tell you and ask you and share with you. But the bottom line, what we wanted you to know is we're in the survey. That doesn't mean we're in it. You're all connected. You have other, you might say, we're in what survey? What are you talking about? We wanted to make sure you knew, first of all, the change in our budget, the change in the right? I want to make sure you knew that. And two is that we are involved in listening and learning to see if there is a fit for us, to see if it's something we should explore as a board. Right now, again, opinion. I think it's a long shot based on the interest rates, where you would buy in and where the rates are. You're not making enough, but the experts will tell us that. If that's okay, Sarah. If you want to, if the board wants to choose a number now, that's fine too. But
Will they tell us the names of the districts that said yes or maybe? Because I'm very curious about not just the dollar amount, but who actually thinks it's a good time to spend time on this.
So the survey is going on right now, and it closes at the end of the month. So I can answer the survey, and then I can bring that information back, and then we can have more discussion and an action item.
Remind me, how many do we have in Oregon? So what's it?
197.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Pat. This is a
Yeah.
lot. Let's circle back now, and if we have Gilbert Park, I think, ready? Welcome.
All right. Hello, board. So glad to be here. I'm Luan Nguyen, the proud principal at Gilbert Park Elementary, and we are happy to be here to share how we are celebrating Black History Month at Gilbert Park. And actually, we really try not to celebrate and think of Black History Month as just February. We try to celebrate it and something that happens all year long, and we do that to uplift our Black student voices and to make sure students are seen and heard every single day in our community. One thing that we're especially proud of is the establishment of our Black Student Union this year. And this is where it's for 4th and 5th grade students, and it's been a really meaningful space for kids to connect. And enough of me to explain what it is and how it impacts. We brought two very special guests here to let you all know how it's been for them.
Yeah, so these are students from the 4th grade class at Gilbert Park. They're students of mine, and this is, you want to introduce yourself and read your statement and what the BSU means to you? Who wants to go first? Yeah, rock, paper, scissors. Okay, ready? So introduce yourself.
My name is Maya, and BSU is important because it shows all the Black students together, which doesn't happen a lot. Also, it's a space for all different types of Black people. My favorite part about BSU is that you get to sit with new people and bond with them.
Hi, my name is Ocean, and Black Student Union is important to me because it helps me feel proud of who I am. Sometimes being of mixed race can feel confusing, but BSU reminds me that every part of me matters. In Black Student Union, I get to learn about Black leaders, inventors, artists, and heroes who changed the world. It reminds me of the change that I can make too. It's a reminder that I come from people who were brave, smart, and powerful. BSU is also important because it gives me a safe place to talk, share, and make friends who understand me. It reminds me that I am not alone and that my voice matters.
All right, you guys have something to share with the board that you made?
Um,
Some of the projects they work on during Black Student Union are self-portraits and, right? But one?
Ocean brought hers, so you want to explain?
can you show
You
it?
want me to show it?
You got this.
Yeah.
So this is her self-portrait, and do you want to explain what it represents?
Okay, so this side of the picture is supposed to resemble who you are on the inside and what your interests are and who you are, and this side is just supposed to represent who you would look like if someone else just like saw you. And yeah. And this was supposed to be the Romanian flag, but I drew the stripes the wrong way in Sharpie. So yeah.
All right, and we're so lucky to have this group led by our very own Gabby from district office. So she has led this group, and as you know, she will be going on leave soon. And in her stead, we have actually gotten one of our staff members to take over. Our health assistant, Milena, is going to take over, and this will not skip a beat when she takes over. They've been planning, and I just can't wait for her to support our students. So the other things that we've been doing are, during Black History Month, during our morning announcements, we've been giving information about leaders and makers for Black history over the intercom so that all students can learn and reflect together. Another thing we've done, so we just had craft night last week, and one of the stations was connecting art with the history of Sam Gilliam was the artist, and he's an African-American painter and sculptor. So the students, whoever else came into the station, they used layered stamping with different colors inspired by his style. His work is all about freedom, expression, and breaking boundaries, and it ties closely to the cultural shifts of the civil rights era, which made the project even more meaningful. And finally, we are also proud that the Black Student Union isn't our only equity or our affinity space. So we have three. We have the Rainbow Club, the Student Equity Team, and our Black Student Union. And with the Student Equity Lunch Bunch, there's students that they have important conversations during that time, which includes things like implicit bias and other equity-related topics that the students talk about, our students. So these groups give students a safe space to talk, listen, and most importantly, learn from each other. And this reflects our commitment as a building and a school where students feel supported, they feel valued and empowered, and not just during Black History Month, but all year long. So thank you so much. And thank you, kids. You guys did so great.
Maya and Ocean, before you both leave, I just want to recognize and say thank you both for being here. I want you to know you're always welcome here, and I hope you'll come back and share again. But the last thing I want to say is I heard you say, Ocean, and I know Maya, it was both of you, but you said people that came before you that were brave, smart, and powerful. And I just want to say the demonstration tonight for you being here, the courage, you're both brave, smart, and powerful. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Great job. Great job.
Wonderful. Can we have Ron Russell Middle School? Are we welcome?
Hi, my name is Braylon. I am an 8th grader at Ron Russell Middle School. Thank you for your time tonight.
Next slide.
Next slide. There. These are all the 31 students who meet. The bolded ones are your presentators tonight. Next slide. The Equity Group for Students began last year, so this is our second generation. We have been so close. We have been able to build and grow quicker because of our foundation.
Alrighty. One of our students couldn't make it tonight, so I'm filling in for her. I am Miss Leatherberry, 8th grade ELA teacher and student equity group chair and co-equity chair with Karen Rosenberg. There's a lot of co's there. So this year for Lunar New Year, we're celebrating obviously what is new Lunar New Year's, the start of a new Lunar New Year cycle. This year is the year of the horse, specifically the fire horse, which is supposed to represent passion and change. Next slide. Our students said that this mattered because a large portion of Portland, including 16% of our Ron Russell students, are Asian or identify as. And so obviously with Student Equity Group, we work really hard to represent all of our students. And as you can see, David Douglas in general has about 15% as well.
Hi, my name's Karen Rosenberg. I'm the library media assistant at Ron Russell, co-chair with Miss Leatherberry of Student Equity Group and our equity team. We had another student who couldn't make it, unfortunately, but we wanted to discuss that Lunar New Year is primarily an Asian holiday, so those who live in Asian countries or identify as Asian celebrate. It's a very special holiday in those communities. And then the next slide shows a map of where the countries where the New Year is a public holiday, similar to how in the United States New Year's Day is a public holiday.
Hi, my name is Osman Dogo, and I am an 8th grader at Ron Russell Middle School. There isn't one way to celebrate the holiday. Dances are a common occurrence, as well as cleaning, to welcome good energy. The slides will be sent, and the video shows a lion dance. Lunar New Year's is celebrated in many ways, such as family feasts, honoring ancestors, red decorations, envelopes, cleaning to welcome good luck, etc. Some extremely popular events are the lion dance, which is performed by at least 2 people who move the head and tail of a dragon. Next slide. As shown in the video, there are local events you can attend this month. There are links to click for more information. The video actually shows the Land Zoo Chinese Garden in action, if you are interested.
Next slide, please. If you are interested in learning more or just reading about Lunar New Year, check out the books they have linked to the county library for easy access. Thank you for your time. Ron Russell Middle School Student Equity appreciates you. That's all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the books are wonderful. I think I know the answer to this, but Lori, are these presentations linked on in the public? Yeah. Okay, great. Because there's a lot of information in all 3 of those presentations there. Wonderful. All right. So if we can go to the Black History Month proclamation and share in the reading of that. Let's see here. Let's see. Steph? Yeah.
Can we take, do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want to, looks like we have a late person. Does she want to come up and say hi or introduce herself?
Yeah, come on. No, thank you.
Hi, my name's Haywan Fanta, and I'm a 6th grader, and I'm part of the Student Equity Group. Thank you. I was late. I don't know. I'd like, but happy Lunar New Year to anyone who celebrates. Okay. Bye.
Great. Okay, Director Stevens, would you like to start?
Sure. David Douglas School District proclamation proclaiming the month-long celebration of Black History Month in February. Whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter Goodwin Woodson, noted Black scholar and son of former slaves, founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History and initiated Black History Week on February 12, 1926, and
whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by Black Americans to Oregon and the United States economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development, and
whereas Black History Month is a time for all Americans to remember the stories, teachings, sufferings, struggles, and strength of African Americans who gave a voice to the daily struggles for freedom, equality, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and
whereas 13.4% of enrolled students are Black American, and this population increased 2.8 percentage points over the past 10 years.
Whereas 3.23% of the David Douglas School District workforce has self-identified as Black American, and this population has increased 0.62 percentage points over the past 5 years, and
whereas 70.8% of Black American students in the 2024-2025 high school four-year cohort graduated, a lower percentage than the all-student cohort average percentage of 73.7, and
whereas we cannot ignore nor erase the consequences of our country's long and unfortunate history of violence, of discrimination, and of deprivation of the African Americans, but we can commit to working together in sharing the rich culture of this community for a bright future, and
whereas because of their determination, hard work, intelligence, and perseverance, Black Americans have made valuable and lasting contributions to Portland, the state of Oregon, and the United States, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, and the arts, and
whereas the district collaborates and partners with community-based organizations to further its efforts of forming strong relationships in a culturally appropriate way, and to provide feedback and guidance to district leaders on improving outcomes and providing opportunities for Black American, first and second generation African, and multiracial youth in the district, and
Whereas the strategic hiring plan outlines specific strategies to increase staff of color, including a Grow Your Own program with 30 staff of color enrolled, and
whereas the Black Student Union and other student union groups organize and promote Black student success and culture, and
whereas the David Douglas School District has an adopted equity policy that states our commitment to closing the achievement gap for Black American students and creating an educational environment where all students can benefit equally from the educational programs offered, and
whereas the district is working towards eliminating the racial predictability and disproportionality on all aspects of education and articulated action steps in the adopted district strategic plan and district equity plan. And
whereas during Black History Month, we focus on the crucial role of education in the history of Black Americans, and
now, therefore, I, Heather Franklin, Chair of the David Douglas School District Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim February 1st through February 28th, 2026 to be Black History Month in the David Douglas School District. Be it further resolved that the David Douglas School Board of Directors strongly encourages our staff and community to observe, recognize, celebrate the culture, heritage, and contributions of Black Americans to our country, our state, our cities, and our schools.
Madam Chair, would you mind if I recognize Ramadan?
Please.
The start of Ramadan also happens this month, inshallah, on the 17th. And so we will have many of our families and students even fasting during that month. And it's a time really to go inside and be more spiritual and also be in solidarity with those people who are suffering, who are experiencing hunger. And so just want to give acknowledgement to that and say Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you. All right, so we are to strategic plan. Exciting.
I can use this one. Sorry about that. Completely forgot about the mic. So today I want to give you a quick update on the progress of revamping our strategic plan for the upcoming school year. So a quick reminder, back in November of 2025, I presented to the board an overview of the 4 phases of this process. And if you remember, we were in phase 1. So at this moment, we are still in phase 1, but we're slowly now transitioning to phase 2. Phase 2 is the community engagement piece. And just a reminder, phase 1, it was an opportunity for us as cabinet to review the equity plan, the strategic plan, and the integrated plan. We are still coding the data gathered from the board workshop, the data that the board provided us. So we're still coding that data. Now, can we go to the next slide? So I want to give you a visual of our pillars. You might notice the pillar number 1, belonging and student voice, no longer has equity called out in that pillar. And that was intentional. We moved equity to the foundation of the pillars because we believe that equity should be embedded in everything we do, should be embedded in the system. So it's going to live in every single pillar. So can we go to and then we added the high quality and diverse, teachers and leaders. Yes, we added that one too. Can we go to the next slide? So we are transitioning to phase 2, and we have our very first focus groups with families at the end of February. We will be starting with our family ambassadors, cohort 2. We have about 25, 26 families who attend those monthly sessions with our family engagement team, Cassie Wood, TD, and Abby, our family engagement specialist. So we're very excited. I know that they're also very excited. And then during the month of March, April, and May, we will be connecting with student focus groups. In fact, I did connect with some of our equity TOSAs about the possibility of being invited to some of those student equity groups and the affinity groups, not just at the elementary level, but at the middle school level and at the high school level. And that's all I have today. Can we go to the next slide? Oh, yeah. Can we go to the next one? And that's all I have today. It was just a quick update. I just wanted to bring this up again because I know it's, we discussed this in November and now we're in February, but I just want to give everyone an update on where we are. Questions?
Thank you. Okay, now we are to Andy with the district calendar.
All right. Good evening. It's kind of hard to believe that we're talking about the calendar for 2027 and it's February. And we were going to talk about this in last meeting, but that was postponed. So that's why we're talking about the calendar today, bringing it for your consideration. You won't hear a lot of presentation from me this evening, but I do want to take a few minutes and explain why the creation of this calendar and why we would like it considered at this time each year. So one of the reasons why we ask our payroll and our human resources office, they are starting to shift into 2027 already. And the time that we get this district calendar approved is when they can do that. So that's one reason why we ask so early. It proves us, it just helps us be more efficient. Once the calendar is approved, then we work in collaboration with our licensed union and our district, some district leadership, to then place in some other parts of the calendar. Like what you see in this is really pretty simple. It's the beginning of the year, the end of the year, the holidays, and the breaks. And so when we collaborate with licensed staff, that's when we get together and we call what's called our leveled calendar. So we take the district calendar and then we take it out to the high school, Fur Ridge, CTP, elementary, middle, and then we place in some of the conferences, some of the professional development days, grading days, semester ends, and those types of things. That's not what this is. This is just the district calendar. We ask for your approval. But one thing, it's important to know that we have, like where we come up with these days, we have 192 days. And oftentimes people think the days drive the calendar, but it's actually the hours. And so sometimes when you hear, whenever I think about Division 22, I just go to Brooke every time. So we are not measured by instructional days, but we're measured by instructional hours. So we are required to meet so many of them. And at the elementary and middle, it's 900 and 990 for grades 9 through 11. And then Brooke, correct, 966 for seniors. Okay. So here, you see the district calendar as measured, as always, by our instructional hours. You'll see this syncs up with, we try to, before we bring it to you, we check for local colleges and see if it syncs with that, and we know that it does with Portland State, Portland Community College, Mountain Hood Community College. The one thing that we thought about in this calendar was, Sandy, do you mind if you can go up to the very top to boom, right there. So Labor Day comes kind of late in 2027. So we thought, wow, we could maybe start earlier. Some districts in our area have done that. We have not done that before in David Douglas, to my knowledge. And if we start earlier, then we're done a week earlier in June. And we did look into that. We had collaboration with both our classified and licensed unions. And we were ready to take a district vote. And then we realized, well, we were smart and went to Pat Comar. Most people do. And I decided to do that, which I'm glad we did, because Pat said, worked with construction, we really can't start any earlier based on construction in our district. So we decided not to start any earlier, and we decided our first date would be the day after Labor Day, which would be September 8th. So we bring this 2026-2027 calendar for your consideration tonight.
Move approval.
Second, so there's no major changes from previous years, is what
No.
you pretty much said.
This calendar is pretty clear cut, Jose. Yep.
But there is changes to be talked about once bond construction stuff is over, possibly.
Yeah, depending on when. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Labor Day, this would be kind of a great year for it. I don't know I was actually quite curious to see what our staff would think, because we would put it out to a vote to see. But yeah, in the future, possibly, but not this year.
I have one nitpick as a parent, and tell me if my nitpick's right or wrong. In June, in super teeny tiny letters, it tells me the student's last day and the teacher's last day. Would it make sense to then make the days, the 22nd through the 30th, little X days? Just so you can stare at the calendar and go, oh, the school's closed those days. Or tell me I'm being dumb.
I'm not sure I totally understand that. I'm sorry, Tom.
So this calendar is just kind of intended as a whole. When we get to the level calendars, we typically have more information on them, and what you're asking for, we definitely do. We typically do actually add something that week that's kind of a placeholder in case we have inclement weather. So there is usually something there, but what you're saying is, could we signify?
I see
hey,
what
no
you
school, no school, no school kind
Yeah.
of thing, and we can definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a calendar.
We may be able to do that.
Just in my
I don't
nutty
think it's
brain,
nitpicky
it was
at all. I
such a
think
nice start in September, all those black lines, and then the days, and then it's like, ooh, school starts, and the teachers start, and then at the end, it just kind of left me hanging.
Sure. Okay, I understand. I didn't follow that at first. I got
Instead of X's, Andy, I'm thinking T for Thomas.
Yeah.
TS.
Yeah.
It's a TS rule.
I prefer TLS, but yes.
No, I understand that, and I think we can do that. And I do understand it now. I can see what you mean. And Ken already mentioned the inclement weather. We've learned over the years to hold those after. But yeah, that's our calendar, hopefully, for next year, if you approve tonight.
Okay, if there's not any more discussion, could we start with Director Ender?
Ender, aye.
Stevenson, aye.
Epstein, aye.
Gilmer Richardson, aye.
Jordan, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Franklin, aye. Thank you, Andy.
It's me.
That's you, Steph.
So we each, as board members, get to appoint a community member to serve on the budget committee, and our dear Kate Sams resigned her position. So we had to do a new appointment for mine, which is position 2. And I have not met this person yet, but I'm really excited to work with them. It's Nakia Solbjor, and I apologize if that's not how you pronounce your name. But Nakia is also a current member of the district's Educational Equity Advisory Committee, so already very involved. I think would be a great addition to the budget committee. It's not an action item, it's just an FYI, and yeah, it's going to be tough times, I think, but it's great that we have somebody with an equity lens who's coming onto the budget committee.
Thank you. Okay, back to Pat for the bond update.
I'll try to keep it short. So CTE building, yay! Certificate of occupancy and open, and kids are using it. How are they liking it, Jacob?
Everybody loves it. I love it so much. I have anatomy and physiology in there, and like the windows are so cool because you can see like the track field. I love it. It's amazing.
Okay. Shoo! For most of our other projects, they're going on through closeout and final punch list. For Ridge, we actually got our record drawings, so we're just about closed out on that project. We're ramping up for our HVAC projects and summer renovations with Lincoln Park, Mill Park, Earl Boyles, and Gilbert Park. And then we do have our bond oversight committee meeting. I believe that's on the 23rd this month. And so they should be coming and seeing you next month. Any questions?
Just a comment. I think that enthusiasm that we saw from you, Jacob, I want to see videos of students and their experience of that building, because going to a couple of events around the opening and seeing students' eyes light up, I want to see some video publicly about what those students are experiencing, because I mean it's hard when you look at your mortgage statement and you're like, okay, taxes went up, but if you could see that building and what it's going to do for generations of kids, and what the youth now that get this brand new building that looks so different than the sort of high school buildings we're used to, I really hope that we can do some more student voice and get that out to the community.
We are already working on them for each of the buildings that have been completed. Yeah, so stay tuned.
Any other questions for Pat? Thank you, Pat. And it's really nice that it's now back to open, the parking lots, and there's new trees going in, and it's so pretty, and yeah, it's back to nice. Okay, superintendent's report, please.
Absolutely, thank you. So I'm going to go through, I have a few different items I just want to make sure the board's aware of and our community's aware of. Number one, Alice already said it, so I don't think I can say it better, but we did launch bargaining last night. And again, thank you. Gratitude to your entire team, your organization, your preparation, very clear. So I just appreciated, I use the term quite often, different by design. And David Douglas, for us to come together to solve issues together, not coming together to fight, right? And I believe I feel that, and I believe that's the intention of DDA. So I just want to thank you, and more to come. So that's one. Two is specifically around this. Here's an example of kind of support from DDA and working. I've updated the board a little bit behind the scenes about, we talked about Division 22, a lot of different things are coming together. Division 22 hours in the high school, and one of my kind of updates to you, we found we're a little bit short. So what did we do? We called DDA and said, hey, DEA, we're short. We need to talk about how we add back time, what it looks like. Anyway, with that said, we do have a draft solution. And in fact, I think we have a solution, but officially until an MOU signed and kind of gets finalized, it's not. So one step at a time here. But again, thanks to Alice and DDA for coming to the table with us, spending time getting information from her members, our employees, and then we use that data to kind of figure out, okay, how could we add back time to make sure when we, at the end of the year, check off the box around Division 22, we're solid, right? So anyway, I just wanted to kind of share that because I'd updated the board earlier on that, and we've finalized. And we found a little bit of good news. We might not need to do quite as much as we thought, and I'll be checking in with Alice tomorrow on that. So we'll kind of go through that. Other than that, kind of going through this here, trying to figure out the order. Been very busy updating you. A lot of people at this table, busy meeting with legislators, other electeds, trying to communicate our story, what's happening, kind of budget, the idea of the Education Stability Fund, the idea of decoupling from HR 1, just making sure that our voices at the table, people around here have been at the table with me or their own tables. We had a legislative breakfast where legislators came down from Salem, if you will, and Sarah was there. She might share a little bit more in her update, but she provided some amazing notes on that, and overall it was a great experience. We had a student with us that just was amazing, just knocked it out of the park, right? I mean, and other districts brought students as well, and I don't know, for me, that was the best part, listening to them really sincerely kind of navigating this. So also, we had a meeting with County Chair Vega Peterson. Same thing, conversation. She's dealing with budget reductions, but we tried to make sure, stake in the ground, thinking about supports to schools, our public health, safety, mental health, Sun School, just communicating with her the importance of all that and hoping she takes that and keeps it at the top of her list when she is developing a reduction budget. At least we're planting that seed for her to let her know it matters, and we're doing a lot of that work, county work, in our building, right? And we're proud to do that, but we can't do that if they take resources away. So that story. And then finally, we had the opportunity to meet with District 1 reps, Candace Avalos, Loretta Smith, and Jamie Dunphy. Same communication there, although they're less about budget for us, but definitely around support. They all leaned in. If we could write letters to Salem, to the county, communication, safety, what do we need? So it was just nice for all three groups, really, I feel like, to be on the same page, trying to navigate, row the boat in the same direction. Tough decisions at all those levels, including ours, we already talked about a little bit, but knowing that hopefully we're going to come together and keep advocating, keep scrapping, and do all we can for our kids, for our community. So just an update there on that. Follow up to that, February 17th, we're participating in the legislative days in Salem. That's Tuesday. I believe Jose and Althea are both going to be part of that. So again, we're going down and again telling our story, advocating, asking, supporting all the way around, and hopefully making our voice known. Going through this, couple other, two heads up here as we are looking at bond ending and construction projects. We talked about summer, wanted the board, we're just flagging this. This does not mean it's gonna happen, but there's two things that are happening within our district that are probably gonna need our attention. And maybe if there's bond savings, we'll be talking about this more seriously. But one is we got notification that the high school track is pretty close to needing some attention, some love. So just kind of planting the seed for the board on that. And two is we got notification, many of our buildings have wood trusses, and kind of that era of building that have wood trusses and big open spaces like this, and we have to get those assessed. You've probably read in the Oregonian or the other news where some school districts actually had collapses because of those. So we are going to be going through the process of getting those assessed. Unfortunately, if they come back and say you need to reinforce them, we're going to have to reinforce them. So right now, nothing to report to you, but I wanted you to know that is on the radar, and it's something that we might need to bring to the board later. Either way, we'll bring it to let you know, but it could have costs and implications. Again, we're already talking about, well, if there's bond savings to help with that, what does that look like? But we really have no idea what will come of that. So just kind of flagging both of those for you. Also exciting news, it's interesting, we're talking about Prosper Portland, and we'll be updating you next month about that. But we had Amber left, unfortunately. We had a community organization come to talk about the possibility of putting a turf field in at Ron Russell. And it is a soccer group, a local soccer group that is very interested in footing the bill. Right now it's kind of, who knows, right? We've had that before where people have come and it just hasn't worked out, but we definitely are listening. We're opening. It wouldn't be this summer, but possibly next summer if it all works out. And as it gets more serious, I will send you information I have now, but if it gets more serious, definitely you'll be involved and you'll need to approve it ultimately. Although there will be no cost to us is the intention, they'll still need, it's a legal process we'll have to go through, et cetera. So just interesting, pretty exciting as we move forward. And then the last two things I'm looking at here, make sure I got everything. News. Okay, the last two things are a little bit dated, and Alice already brought up one, but I want to bring up another one, and then that one. Last week was our National School Counselors Week, Counseling Week, and to recognize our school counselors, and Florence did an amazing job leading that group, sent out a communication to our entire district, but I just wanted to recognize it at the board level, and even though it's last week, I hope you'll indulge me and allow me to read this proclamation quickly. So I'm going to just recognize National School Counseling Week. School counselors amplify student success. The proclamation is, whereas school counselors are employed in public and private schools to help students reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents as these traits relate to career awareness and development, and whereas the school counselors help families focus on ways to further the academic, career, and social emotional development of their children, and whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves, and whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can be enhanced and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society, and whereas the comprehensive school counseling program are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in schools. With that said, the David Douglas School District hereby proclaims February 6th and this week, we'll throw it into this week too, right? As National School Counseling Week. Our counselors do amazing work on behalf of kids, staff, community, and I know at this table all appreciate them. So just some flowers to our school counselors and recognition there. And then the next one, Alice, this is the one Alice brought up. We did have a board meeting scheduled that we canceled, and I wanted to apologize to our community and to our board members. I don't know that we made the right decision. I think ultimately it was the right decision. It was the decision, but so we didn't come together and meet. But at that board meeting, if we would have came together, because it was last meeting, I would have read another proclamation recognizing this amazing board and just saying gratitude to every single one of you for what you do, keeping students first, focused on what's best for our district and our kids every single day. I've had the privilege of working with a lot of different configurations of board and board members and a lot of amazing people, all of them, in fact, hearts. But I will say this group of board members, I don't know as a group I've seen a more dedicated board, involved board, engaged board. And I'm not just saying that. And maybe it's just because your guys' ability because of careers or whatever, I don't know, but you're involved, you're there, you're listening every day, and it's noticed, and I want to say thank you. I know it's noticed by our community, liaison, all the work, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference, and we will be going into, it's not all sunshine and roses. I talked about the budget. I was going to talk about it here, but I'm skipping it for now. We have some tough decisions coming forward. So before that, just thanking you up front on that and all the decisions you can and will make to support kids every single day. So with that said, whereas Oregonians rely on public education to ensure a prosperous quality of life and strong economic health for Oregon, and Locally elected boards fulfill leadership roles and serve as the conduit through which teachers, parents, businesses, and communities demonstrate the care, creativity, and support that lead to student achievement. And whereas public school nurtures and trains diverse student populations with varying resources to give students the knowledge, skills, and opportunities they need to succeed. And whereas board members build the framework that makes it possible for education organizations to educate Oregon's children. And whereas we thank the committed community members who serve on the boards of Oregon's 197 school district. Again, this is from our governor, and 19 education service districts and 17 community colleges for their dedication to the education needs of Oregonian. So with that said, last month, again, we gave an extra week to counselors. Let's give another extra week to our board members. Thank you so much. Happy School Board Recognition Month, and we have a little trinkets just to hand out. So thank you.
Althea, I saw your face when that soccer soccer run was.
I don't know where these moves are coming from, but it is welcome.
So team, it's not a lot, and I apologize. I wish we had more, but it's typically we reach out to your liaison schools and ask them, and so you might have some swag, different things from the school, and then obviously some documentation, a letter from me, a few different things. But thank you sincerely for all the work you do, and it is noticed and appreciated. And that's my superintendent's report this evening.
Can I ask 2 yes or no questions?
Yes.
Okay. The trusses thing, is there a report somewhere that talks about earthquake preparedness? I'm sure there is an assessment of our buildings for earthquake, for the big one. Do we have that?
Kind of. I don't know if I'm quite catching the report you're talking about or wondering.
I don't know
But
if
like
there is
we've
one.
been doing seismic upgrades
That's what I meant.
constantly,
That's the
so I don't know
term.
if Pat, you want to add to that or.
I would love to just refresh my memory at some point. It doesn't have to be. I'd like to see that. Just curious. And then the second yes or no question is, there was a report in the Oregonian that said that there's $9 million in unspent arts taxes. Are any of those school district funds?
So we had a brief conversation about that, and ultimately where I left, again, city councilors, is I don't know. So
Can we help them know?
we can try, and we are. I mean, during that meeting, we were having that conversation. Okay, where are those funds? How are those funds used? We could use them. It wasn't a direct answer. Brooke, I don't know. Have you had it? Sorry to put you on the spot. You haven't had any follow up with that, have you? Yeah. So, but we will, Stephanie. We will dig deeper, and we'll get back to you with a little more information.
I just remember how hard those youth worked to get that one band teacher to stay, and you know, even a small amount can help offset. I mean, our taxes pay for all our music stuff in elementary, I believe. Yes.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Yeah, not quite everybody in elementary. So,
But it
nice
pays
that
for our
paid
music
all our
program.
But it's a lot. It helps
It is.
a lot.
Okay, thank you.
No doubt. Yeah.
And I bet they find more money next week the way things have gone.
Well, and they talked about reallocation. They talked about re-upping that. It's still only a certain percentage we even get, the city only gets. So that's something when they were reporting this to us, they were talking about as well.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, back to Pat for financial report.
So we got an update on the state revenue forecast, much better than the last time we were talking. Not hearing anything about mid-biennium reductions, so that's good. Or mid-year reductions for this year. Enrollment currently down. ADMW is currently down from where we projected. So unlike last year where we were trending up and getting a little excited, we are seeing things decline. I did put some notes in there about Multnomah County birth rates, just so you could get an idea of what's coming. You could notice 2023 in particular, there was a decline. And we're getting ready to get an enrollment forecast also. So we're going to get a 10-year enrollment forecast and see what that projects for us. Small area income poverty estimates, SAPE. So normally I would bring that information to you in early January. It's usually released in mid-December. And due to the federal shutdown, it was delayed till the end of January. But after looking at the data that's out there, there'll probably be a small decline in our poverty. And that's simply because of the decline in the district in population. General fund ending balance is up from the last projection back in November. So we're at about 15.7 million right now. There are frozen positions, and we'll be starting to, as Ken said, we're already starting to get ready for next year. So we have about a month and a half, 2 months before we start closing things out and looking through purchase orders and making sure things are getting closed and paid. And that number will probably tick up a little bit, which you saw kind of my initial anticipation on that in the slide that Ken had. Nutrition Services Fund, so yay. Things that keep popping up are fund balance is about the same as the last projection, but I did want to let you know that our central freezer, we're having problems. There's actually a heave in the floor. It's about 20-ish years old. We did have some issues with the condensing units, and when the folks were out to look at it, they did say, well, this is about the end of their life. So, and looking at, do we replace that? Do we just fix it and Band-Aid it? So we're kind of looking at what are our best options there. We are postponing a purchase of buses, so transportation fund, we're going to probably bring some purchases for you, but they won't actually happen until next year. So we're going to go out and look, but that ending balance went up in that fund because we don't anticipate a purchase this year. Grants fund, it increased slightly to about 3.4 million. We do anticipate, as you saw in your approvals tonight, we got more money for MECP. We're still waiting our grant agreement with MESD. It's for our second Portland Clean Energy grant for Lincoln Park and Gilbert Park. I do want to let you know with regards to wooden trusses, the state does have a small grant that closes tomorrow for the applications, and so we plan on applying for that. To help with the cost in looking at and assessing those. Let's see here. Cash and investments. So total cash and investment balance was at 68.3 million in December. I do want to bring to your attention, let's see if I can find it here. The local government investment pool interest rate is declining, so still declining. Actually, just got a notice today, it's down to 4.1%. So we do anticipate that will probably still decline. Any questions?
The poverty rates, I just looked it up because I wanted to see what they use. And one of the things they use is SNAP benefits and things like that. But the new law is kicking anyone who can't prove immigration status off SNAP benefits. Just to give you a heads up, if our poverty rate all of a sudden looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think we're trending the way we were for how many years ago? 8? Yeah. So unfortunately, I think we're going back a few years and seeing the same types of trends. Anything else?
Anything else? Thank you, Pat. All right, so now we're to board policy. This is a second read. This is an action item.
Move approval of board policy JHCA, students, immunization, school sports participation, concussions, and other brain injuries.
Second.
Okay, great. Can, let's see, the policy review group have anything to add?
We don't have anything to add from the last time we spoke about this. Seemed
It's just aligning to new state law. It's, yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, Director Stevens?
Stevens, aye.
Jordan, I.
Karen Georgeson, aye.
Epstein, aye.
Stevenson, aye.
Ender, I.
Franklin, aye. Okay, good. So we didn't have any public comment, but we did have DDEA and OSCA, if there's any. Yeah.
And we also had invited public comment. And let me just say, again, I will say this every time, but when people bring students to talk to us, that is so much better.
Okay, well, if that's that, then we're on to board liaison and committee reports. If anyone has a couple to share. Go ahead.
I guess I'll go again. The last couple of months have been kind of crazy with we canceled our board meeting for a reason, and because of that, there were a million other things going around the district. So I did a lot of things that weren't like in my schools, but I did manage to go to President's Council that happened between then and now, and Thomas went, so thanks for coming. The kids talked about absenteeism and the tardy policies, and I will say it again, if you can, please go. It's a great insight into our policies to hear the students and what they think of them. And I know we can't just go with what the students say, but it really informs whether or not something is going to work. If the students are all saying this isn't why it's not going to work, we really should listen. So it's very helpful to be in those spaces, and I appreciate that we are allowed to be in those spaces with the students.
I echo that. It's fun to see high schoolers being on their way to becoming adults. It's cool to see, and it's impressive.
Yeah, and with my role as an ISBA officer, I got to go to Washington, D.C. and met with President Dexter and Bynum and both the senators to talk about education funding at the federal level. And as you know, that's hard. So, but they're all about getting us more funding. And the one thing I will say is that we were in a nonpartisan conference, so we heard from people from both sides, and there is appetite from both sides to fund IDEA better. We'll see if it actually happens, but I was hearing people from both sides looking at that one piece and saying they might throw more funds. So, because one thing that we need to remember is, like, when we talk about IDEA funding or special education funding or any of that funding, it's not just special education funding. Because, for instance, we all know that so I'm saying this for the audience, but we're going to provide services to those kids whether we get that funding or not. So if we get funding for those kids, that just means we can offer more things to all the kids. So whenever you hear us, we're asking for more special ed funding, IDEA funding, that affects every single one of our kids, all our teachers, all our educators. It's not one group that we're fighting for, it's all the groups.
I attended I remember last bargaining with the licensed group. We had a formation of the Continuum of Services Task Force. I don't know if you all remember that, but that's going to be reported back to the board in May. And the task force, they have kind of a goal of improving services for students in the district, focused on middle and elementary school kids. And so I got to attend this last month's task force, and it was really great. it was like Shark Tank focused, right, Andy? That's kind of the, yeah. So basically, there was a bunch of presentations by folks on the task force, and I didn't have a presentation. I just got to observe. So really impressed by the ideas coming forth and the just learning about kind of what different folks are doing and from different lenses. So every level is represented, which is really cool. MECP is there, and so all the way from, you know, all levels of like how do we better serve our kids, and with limited resources and like considering all of this. So the group is really amazing, and I'm really excited to see, you know, as they continue to work and come to the board in May with the kind of final product to see that. It's really inspiring. So that was really cool. And then I don't know, I guess we haven't also kind of circled back on the opening of the CTE, not so much, but I mean, really amazing. I don't know, I just have conversations probably every day with folks about just how amazing the building is. They got people that attended the ribbon cutting and the open house. And so thank you to everybody, and the work that went into the gala. The fundraiser dinner was very incredible and inspiring, and thank you, Ida. I know that you and your team did huge lift and continue to in the follow-up of everything. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. And yeah, so also this month, well, I guess it was January, end of January, and then the first in February, there was 2 showings of, was it We Rise or Rise Up? Yeah, We Rise. Yeah. Beautiful play put on by some students in the theater program about like lived Black experience, and it was, I've never been in that Black Box Theater until this month or this showing, but really incredible. Yeah, I would. Those students are incredible, and the folks that help lead them. But yeah, really special, and I'm really hopeful that we get to have more of that kind of performance in the intimate space, spoken word type. You know, also just really impressive high school kids like in this, you know, spaces like this intimate and performing with people like. I mean, I was really blown away. So.
I was pleasantly and disappointingly turned away because it was full. It was great. It was awesome. I rolled up. I was
bringing chairs in.
Yeah,
they just kept.
Yeah, they kept putting more chairs in, and there were people waiting in line. I was like, "No, you go. This is not for me. This is for you. Just go." Until they couldn't fit any more people, and then I turned around and left. It was great.
Yeah, it was really, really wonderful. So, yeah, I was very fortunate to actually get in because, it was close to being sold out when I got in there. So, really grateful about that. And yeah, also Gabby, who was referenced tonight with the Gilbert Park team, they were leading the kids and I think championed the project.
Yeah, director and producer. I mean, she was definitely director and had producer rights. So yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very inspiring. Okay, I think that's all for me.
I was able to meet with the Gilbert Park, Alice Ott, and Ron Russell principals. Some highlights: Gilbert Park Kinder is doing great. They met their Dibbles goal, and they're doing really good. Our principal, Luan Nguyen, is here from Gilbert Park, and I think just very proudly bragging about the affinity and the equity groups, and class sizes have been eased a little bit thanks to a couple of additional staff. Very, very positive about that. And the current climate of our community is definitely impacting staff and kids, and they feel it. And I think that's kind of a through line with all of our schools. All the staff, all the students, they're feeling it. We will be having office hours for all those 3 schools where the staff can come and talk to me to have a 30 or 40 minute open session. And they can just come, and I said, as long as you don't yell at me, you can come. But it'll be a good opportunity to connect to the staff and teachers. And Ron Russell had a really nice attendance engagement event where students who had kind of attendance rates that have opportunity to grow their families and them, they were all invited to do a game night and then talked about kind of what barriers they're experiencing to getting to school and setting goals for attendance rates. And yeah, I think I will look forward to sharing back the outcome of those office hours and hearing back from the staff. I think one thing that I'm hearing again and again is staff are very interested in what it would look like to shift away from late start Wednesdays and also moving towards away from a block schedule so that students can have more options for electives and what that would look like. I know teachers are hesitant a little bit just because of like the passing time that it gives them and kind of the restrictions on the calendar, but I look forward to learning more about that.
I might just add, we've got the Oregon School Board Association that all of us participate and benefit from. We also, as part of that, have a new advisory committee, the LGBTQIA2S+ board members advisory committee. This is just another cool space to support kids and board members and school districts dealing with a myriad of issues. So I just want to keep putting out a plug there. We will have a meeting tomorrow. It's for Oregon School Board Association members, but it will continue to be like a monthly space where we share ideas, raise problems, try to tackle some of the tough issues, and it's just always good to have safe, supportive spaces to move this work forward. It's a long time coming, so I'll just keep you guys posted. I'm currently serving as vice chair for that group. So I will be in that space, and if you need more connection to it, let me know. Tomorrow we'll have a guest speaker from Basic Rights Oregon. So we will always be trying to bring in expertise and talent and different ideas. But if we have any from our district or other organizations please let me know. We'd love to bring them on in a future month.
And I'll just add to that, OSBA also has the School Board Members of Color Caucus. They're always offering scholarships for school board members of color, but also school board members who service large populations of students of color, like our school district, to go to conferences because conferences are not cheap. So we get a pool of money in the Color Caucus to send school board members to these conferences. So and people do not apply. So please, when you sign up for the emails and then apply for those, so that you learn a lot. Some stuff you can't implement, but some things you can bring back to the district with you from hearing what people are doing all over the place. So
I would be remiss if I didn't mention, given the weight of what people are feeling in our district, the actions that our students took at the high school and even at the middle schools to express how they're feeling. And I was there at the high school one. I think many of you were. I'm also proud of the district for how it handled that, ensuring that those could happen and safely, but that the school still occurred. And I was so impressed by their, passion and their discipline. And I think it bodes well for the future.
I did want to make one other comment about the brunch that we went to. I think we had an opportunity to see all of the districts that were there in Multnomah County, the deficits that they had, the millions and millions and millions of dollars in deficits. And I think it was a really poignant moment when one of the financial analysts said, this is not a situation of misspending. This is a situation of underfunding and just needing to readjust how we fund our schools. And it was just really reassuring to see that we are not alone, and that we had representatives there that are very focused on changing how we get money and making sure that our students and our staff are, appropriately funded. So it was encouraging, and thank you for the opportunity to go.
Okay, well, I will take the silence as that we are finished, and we will adjourn tonight's board meeting, and we will move into exec session in a few minutes. So we are adjourned from the regular session. Yeah.